Welcome to Spiritual Happy Hour. We are thrilled to be here, and we're thrilled that you're here too. And I'm honored that the Master Randy Luna just opened us with his musical prowess. You know, it's so amazing, isn't it?
Every single time he plays, I'm just in awe.
I know. You may not know that he doesn't ever, bless you. We have a studio audience now. That he doesn't ever rehearse anything or write anything down. That magic just comes right out of his fingers. And we're so honored to have him. Spiritual Happy Hour is loosely based on or inspired by A Course in Miracles, which sometimes we call ACIM. Just a little word of warning. We do use the word
Marilyn.
and God or source or love, because it's all the same thing.
Whatever you want to call it.
That's right. And sometimes we speak it at the same time, right?
Right. Yeah. And you remember that story I told just recently, Marilyn, about pulling into Harmony, California?
How could I forget Harmony, California?
You remember that we were deep into a state of not speaking to one another?
Yes, I remember.
And if you haven't heard that story, we were driving up the state of California to an event. This was early on in our working together, and we got into an argument. And we stopped speaking to one another. Remember?
It's hard to imagine now, but it is true.
And the tension was so thick that I pulled off the road.
Well, actually, she was like,
and we both jumped out of the van and we went our separate ways. And when we got back, we realized we had parked under a sign for a tiny little town of
Harmony, California, population 6.
I mean, we can't make this stuff up.
No.
It completely broke the tension, remember?
Yes.
I use that story to talk about how God wants us to have a sense of humor. And I was thinking about that story again as I was reviewing lessons 6 through 10 in A Course of Miracles. That story just creates so many teachings, so many life lessons that you and I have learned together. Would you agree that we were not in a state of peace or of harmony? That in that silence, me driving and Marilyn looking out the window one way, me looking out the window the other way, that our minds were completely preoccupied with past thoughts or future worries, and that our argument, whatever it was, we can't remember, arose out of fear because we were basing that argument on triggers from the past and for the future. That in that moment of upset or fear or dissonance, we weren't seeing anything as it is in the now. Would you agree that you can be upset because you see something that isn't even there? And here's the big one that neither one of us was truly aware of back then, that those thoughts, our thoughts, truly didn't even mean anything, because in that moment, in the full presence of the moment, nothing we were thinking about was actually happening. We were simply driving up the coast of California. That's it. And that's what I want to share with you today. 5 simple things that will help you now thyself. More basics of ACIM, A Course in Miracles. Can we unpack that story? Because I think this is a super useful set of lessons. One of the things that we teach in Everything is Possible, our weekend-long Plurk shop, Play plus Work equals Plurk, is that everything is possible. Remember, you're creating everything in your world with your thoughts, which actually start with your feelings. Your thoughts are just the tip of the iceberg. So when you're triggered by something and it causes you to be upset or angry or afraid or anything other than love, that emotion begins to create exactly what you are afraid of having. In other words, all of those upsets and triggers and negative thoughts will actually begin to create those very things that you really don't want. And as Adironda likes to say about negative thinking, stop it. That's your purchase order to the universe, so just stop it. That's why we are always wearing the awareness bracelet, to to bring awareness to our negative thoughts so we can choose to stop it. And this is all part of choosing to retrain your brain and your mind to see things differently, which is, remember, a miracle. According to ACIM, a miracle is simply a different way of thinking about things. Well, the truth is, all of those upsetting thoughts are based upon the past. Lesson number 6 of ACIM, I'm upset because I see something that isn't even there. And mostly when you get into an argument or you have some kind of an upset, you're basically stuck in the past. You're thinking or worrying that something from the past is going to happen again. Something completely unwanted, undesired. But quite literally, nothing is happening in that moment. Did you know that we have over 50,000 to 80,000 thoughts per day? Scientists now say that those thoughts weave into around 6,200 thought worms. They just worm through your brain on repeat. We are so stuck in the past, thinking about something that isn't even happening in this moment and doing it repetitively over and over again. Lesson number 7 of ACIM is, I see only the past. I love the quote from Mel Brooks. I want to get it put on the back of my travel trailer. Now thyself. You see, Marilyn and I were driving up the coast of California. I mean, it's spectacular. It's gorgeous. And we got to planning and talking about business. And suddenly we had a disagreement about how something should work or be done. And the next thing we knew, we were not present. I was probably remembering something in the past that didn't work out so well and not wanting to repeat it. And she was trying to plan something in the future that she wanted complete control of. And we missed the absolute beauty and the harmony of Highway 1 on the California coast. There we were winding through the roads, high above the ocean to our left, and plentiful grape vineyards to our right, and we missed it. I mean, we could have been using that feeling of appreciation and gratitude to completely create exactly what we did want, to focus on the outcome of what we wanted. Instead, we were worrying about something that could be wrong or couldn't be happening in the future. We were actually creating probabilities for the future of the exact things that we did not want. Man, those first few years together learning this exact lesson, they were a bit rough. And in that moment where everything is possible, where consciousness creates form, was lesson number 8 of A Course in Miracles. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. That brought us fully present. Laughter brought us fully present. And this lesson, lesson number 8, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts, is exactly where the awareness bracelet comes in. Because remember, 80% of our thoughts are negative and 95% of our thoughts are being repeated again and again. The good news is that our brain is neuroplastic, meaning you can change your habit that you aren't even fully aware of. Your negative thoughts can become the habit of positive thinking. And as Mike Dooley says, change your thoughts, change your life. And guess what? Marilyn and I, we don't argue so much anymore. And our business is a lot more solid and a lot more successful now. Because you see, we learned the exercise of undoing all of the past things that we hang on to, afraid they will happen again, and in doing so, we are recreating them again and again. We didn't want that. We wanted success. I went through a divorce a few years ago. I had been married for 33 years. I'd been unhappy for quite some time, but I was afraid to leave. I was so afraid to leave that I was afraid to even say those words, I'm afraid to leave. In the back and forth of should I stay or should I go, Marilyn asked me what I was afraid of. I was afraid of all kinds of things, like lighting the pilot light on the stove. I didn't know how to drive in the snow. My house needed some work. How would I ever get it done? You know, having to do those things that my husband had always taken care of. I clearly heard, Google it. And my biggest fear of all was having my family split up. I really loved my in-laws, and I cherished those few times a year that we all got together as a family. From that perspective of hanging on to the past, I couldn't see the this or something better. Years later, after I began again a beautiful relationship and was spending a holiday with Carl, the new love of my life, and his family, my new extended family, and it was so fun and so loving, and they took me in and embraced me as if I'd been there all along. I realized that in me worrying about losing something, I couldn't see how truly beautiful something else could be. And guess what? I still have a beautiful relationship with my first set of in-laws. I didn't lose anything. Once I let go and trusted that everything is possible, that I would still have my past in-laws, I was at my first gathering with Carl's family having so much fun, so much love, so much laughing that I realized I had let go and I trusted, and something even better had come in while I wasn't really paying attention to what I'd been worrying about. It was such a great reminder that nothing is as it appears on the surface, especially if you just stop it. Stop hanging on to the past. And guess what else? All of those little things that my previous husband had taken care of, I did Google them, and I YouTubed them too. And I learned to drive in the snow, and I easily lit the pilot light, and I even wired my upstairs and my thermostat all by myself. So what did I gain? Self-empowerment. I gained confidence. I realized that Bob Marley was right. You just don't know how strong you are until you have to be. So write this down. This is so important. The point of power is in the presence. It's in the now. Now thyself. I learned this from one of the Seth books called The Nature of Physical Reality. The point of power is in the presence. I have this hanging on my wall in my office to remind me whenever I begin to worry or fret to just let go, be fully present, and create exactly what I want from that space. Because the truth is, and this is ACIM lesson number 9, I see nothing as it is now unless I can be fully present and focus on what I truly want and watch it come into fruition. This is where the practice of ACIM comes in. If you truly want to change your life, commit to a daily practice. It only takes about 5 to 15 minutes every day. You just read one lesson per day, that's all. And then for the most part, the exercise is to simply sit for 5 minutes contemplating the lesson. Some lessons call for you to think about it every hour or half hour. This way, I stop running the old programs or the old thoughts, those old negative repeats that cause me to get more of what I don't want. It was pretty cool last week. Marilyn and I had taken a group of people on a crystal digging retreat that we do in Mount Ida, Arkansas, every other year. So fun, right? Check it out on our website. And we had stopped into a restaurant for brunch, a pretty large group of us, awaiting the others that were arriving on different planes. And we were having fun and laughing. And finally, our wait staff asked us what kind of a group we were and what we were doing. And we told her we were a spiritual, metaphysical group going crystal digging. She thought that was so cool. And she said, like, y'all are into energy, right? Of course, we nodded. And then she said, we do this thing every morning when we get ready to open up the restaurant. We get into a group, and one half of the group says to the other half, the energy you give, and then the other half chimes back, is the energy you receive. Write that down. The energy you give is the energy you receive. Just then, one of her coworkers walked by, and she said, hey, Ben, the energy you give, and he immediately chimed back, is the energy you receive. I mean, the whole world is waking up. And that brings me to ACIM lesson number 10. My thoughts do not mean anything. This is actually kind of funny when you really start to get it. When I first awakened, all I wanted in my life was joy. In fact, oddly enough, I changed my name to Joy. I remember a friend of mine, Rob Williams, the founder and co-creator of Psyche, pointed out to me that I wanted joy so much, I called myself Joy. And it was true. It's actually kind of an interesting story because before I was Joy, that's spelled Joeaux, I was Stephanie. That's the name my mom and dad gave me when I was born. But when I woke up, I didn't feel like a Stephanie. It didn't resonate with me at all. And I know I'm speaking to someone directly out there who's had the same feeling about their name. You see, Adironda says that your name, what you call yourself, is incredibly important. So important that if you do decide to change your name, do it legally, because that changes it on all of your accounts and documents. Because otherwise, whenever you get your mail or legal documents, it'll read the old name that is unsettling to your soul and to your consciousness, and you'll feel unsettled, and that's what you'll get more of. I knew my name was Joy, but I also, for some uncanny reason, knew that it wasn't spelt Joy. So I had a reading with a good friend of ours, a powerful channel named Joelle Wilkins, who's been a guest on our double-digit monthly stream. And she helped me read into the energy and to see that it was actually spelled Joeaux and not Joy. The minute I discovered this, I Googled it to see if this was a name. And sure enough, up came in the search results a dictionary-like definition that read, number 1, ancient spelling of the word joy, and number 2, not from this planet. I was so blown away that I showed it to my husband at the time and my best friend at the time, and interestingly enough, neither are really a part of my life anymore, and they were blown away too. And so, as Adironda instructed, I legally changed my name to Joeaux. Actually, as you may well know, Adironda calls me the Joy. And my mom, I think this is really cool, calls me Joyous Stephanie because she honors us both. So about 3 months after I changed my name, my son calls me to talk about this big change and tells me I spelled my name wrong. I said, no, I didn't. Google it and you'll see. He said, I did. Nothing comes up. And it was true. I Googled it immediately, and guess what? Nothing came up. But now I do a Google search of Joeaux, and it comes up. However, at that time, I thought, oh man, I got it wrong. Fast forward a few months later, and I was at an event with Dr. Todd Ovakaitis, another facilitator friend of ours, an amazing metaphysician and Western doctor, and he had known me as Stephanie and asked for my new business card with my new name on it. He's a very playful guy, and he was kind of like rolling my card around in his fingertips saying, joie, joie, joyex, just playing around with my new name. And suddenly he says, of course, a 22, master builder, which if you know anything about me, you know that is who I am. I build businesses and projects and houses and all kinds of stuff. You see, he was doing the numerology in his head, and he realized that the reason that my name had to be spelled so uniquely was in order for it to add up to a 22, which equates to a master builder, which I am. And then I knew once again, there are no mistakes. Namaste, no mistakes. I had to laugh because it was so obvious that the universe was playing out what I was feeling. That Stephanie Roby did not resonate because it added up to a different number, and that did not resonate with who I am, but Joy Roby resonated perfectly. It's amazing how that works. And if you want to know more about this, order our book called Double Digitology, and you can figure out the numerology on your name too. So why am I telling you this? Because it's all about this ACIM basic review of the second 5 lessons. Number 6, I'm upset because I see something that's not there. In other words, I'm making up stories in my head that are not even real in the moment. But the opposite works too. When my name fully resonates with me, I am peaceful and much more harmonious with the truth of who I am. And I can train myself to do this by changing the habit of negative thinking. And number 7, I see only the past. That if we get stuck in believing the past is only going to repeat itself, then we lose out on the power that consciousness creates form. And write this down, the power is in the present moment. And of course, number 8 of ACIM, a reminder that our mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Remember, 80% of those 6,200 mind worms that are made up of 50,000 to 80,000 thoughts per day, and only 5% are we consciously aware of. The other 95% are on autopilot, quite literally mindlessly on repeat. So, number 8, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts, is so much like number 7. I see only the past and totally worth repeating, right? Number 9, I see nothing as it is now. That if we are not fully present, we are thinking about what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future. And we're totally missing out on the opportunity to be what we are, the greatest co-creators on the planet. Because why? We are consciousness creating form because the point of power is in the presence. You wrote that down, right? And finally, number 10, my thoughts do not mean anything, which is the summary of lessons 6 through 10. It's like Eckhart Tolle said when he had his awakening. He realized there were two of him. There was the him, or the me, that was observing the thinker. That's you just simply here today and taking action on creating peace and harmony in your life by understanding the truth of the world and not just accepting your program because that's not who you are. And as Eckhart Tolle figured out, the second you, or the second me, as he says, was the thinker, the one that was not present, the one that was churning out all of those negative thoughts, those thoughts that were based upon nothing happening currently in the now moment. That's why I love that saying so much that I want to have it put on the back of my travel trailer and drive all over the country with the big words, now thyself. Mel Brooks, what a smart guy. 2 simple words, now period, thyself period. I wonder what Adironda will have to say about all of this present moment stuff and the understanding that we're all making it up anyway. I saw a funny pair of socks and they said, never trust an atom. They make up everything. So we're going to take a little break now and listen to the Master Randy Luna. And then let's all meet back here to see what Adironda has to say about all of this present moment stuff.
So it is good day to you, huh? Good day to you, and good day to you, good day to you, good day to you, good day to everyone here, huh? That is what we do, is we wish you a good day, because every day is a good day. As you know, as you now yourself, is that it? Now yourself. We see that is about being very present. And so many times when people are in their stuff, they're not present. And we use stuff with those little accent marks, those little quotation marks around it, because stuff is old baggage. Stuff is the things that you throw away in your garbage can. Stuff makes no sense for you and your experience right now. So, we ask you to leave your stuff behind. Leave your energy present in this now moment. Be happy now. Be sad now. Be here now. It is not be here then. Be happy then. It is now. And as you understand that, what your experience is acknowledging the nowness of you. See, your brain only knows what you're putting into it. It only knows what is here and now, unless you're thinking about or telling about or talking about an old story. You know, the old story that the Joy talked about, the city of harmony, well, the town of harmony, or the community of harmony. Is it a city if there's only 6 people there? But that story is an old story, and we ask that story about harmony be brought into the forefront, not the story of arguing, not the story of the argument that every single time they drove up the coast of California, they would get into an argument. Needless to say, they stopped driving up the coast of California. Maybe now, in their now presence, the Joy and the vessel Marilyn could be enlightened enough to try that again. Huh? Would that work for you? In that energy, in that focus, in that frequency of bringing it now, we just want you to know that all those old stories, all those old paradigms that you've been telling yourself over the years causes your brain, your cells, your heart, your beingness to relive all those. So why would you do that? Why would you wish to relive that energy? Why would you wish to have that frequency that is not necessarily a fun frequency? Why would you want it to be now? So when you hear yourself telling all those old stories, all that old trauma of your whole life, and how this happened and that happened, stop it. You've got it. Just stop it. In that energy, when you frequent the old stories, your brain believes that you are experiencing it again and sends out all the protective mechanism of your whole world, so that eventually builds up a wall between you and others. And others are the beauty of you, for they are simply reflecting back what you are putting out. What did the waiter say? The energy that you give is the energy you receive. That should be tattooed somewhere on your body, or put on your dashboard of your car, or in your mirror, or somewhere, because when you are running into someone that is a bit cranky, or running into someone that is a bit argumentative, stop. Look at yourself, for you are in that position as well. You are in that essence as well, of being cranky or argumentative or whatever. And so we are asking you to reprogram that energy. Whenever you sense it, whenever you feel that energy of aggression or crankiness building up in your system, just take a deep breath and think of the population of 6 in Harmony, California. And it is interesting that the number 6 in numerology in the Tibetans equals harmony. There are no accidents in this world. There are no mistakes in this world. Just as everything that comes to you or comes through you or expands around you is divinely orchestrated for your personal enlightenment. Now, how fun is that, eh? The world rearranges itself to accommodate you. And something wonderful is happening right here in this galaxy on planet Earth. And that something wonderful that is happening is you. Always remember to be present, to live in the now. And when you feel yourself going into something that is an old story, ask, what is this really about? What is that old story that I've been telling myself, and what good do I get from it? And then stop telling it. Stop telling it. Because that old story, every time you tell it, gets bigger and bigger and bigger because it builds upon itself. And we would wager, if we were a wagering energy, that that old story brings up an old memory that may or may not be the most pleasant thing. Because the energy behind it may be, remember when. So even the vessel and the joy get to replace that argument part with Harmony, California. Or just harmony. See if that can happen in your life as well. That every time you think of something that doesn't feel quite so pleasant, think of, I want to park in harmony. Oh, dearest beings of light, we love you so much. You are harmony. We see you. We know you. We are you. And we bid you namaste. Namaste.